cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. But crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. No more. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. Black and white.
everyone, welcome to Simracersworld TV for round 5 of the SRW Dynamixx NASCAR Winter Series. We are at the Phoenix International Speedway, and we shall go to some kind of pictures. And I'm joined by Jack Oliphant in the booth for more Monday night oval action. Jack, excited for this one?
Oh, of course I am. Yeah, the NASCAR oval racing has really sort of drawn my attention and really changed my mind about how oval racing has sort of evolved and how much goes into it, to be honest. So it's a lot more exciting than I ever thought it would be, and there's no reason to believe that Phoenix won't be the same, although it's changed its name like the past 3 times. But yeah, Phoenix is very, very exciting, and by the looks of it, it's going to provide brilliant racing because it looks pretty unforgiving as a circuit.
Indeed it does. Just through practice here, it seems like the drivers are in for quite an ordeal here tonight. I would not be surprised to see the incident count in the higher end of what we've seen this season. Mind you, we've actually had some fairly clean races over the last few weeks in, let's say, virtual oval standards at least. Tonight might be very, very tricky indeed. It's shallow banking, if you will, and it's a tri-oval where the corners are just so different indeed, as you can see on the track map as well. And I think any driver with experience from this circuit will pretty much agree indeed here. Anyways, let's go to some live pictures from the last 2 minutes of practice before we do get qualifying underway. Sergio Hernandez, by the way, probably the favorite for tonight, and joined by, should we say, the usual suspects at the head of the field here as Frederik van Eekhoven finds the inside wall there.
I think that's a good example, actually, that Frederik has given us, the fact that it is so narrow on that start-finish straight, isn't it? I mean, if you're going 2 or 3 wide, which isn't exactly unusual from a NASCAR racing perspective, you're probably going to end up hitting into one of these drivers if they spin out, and even if they can't stop on the grass, which is pretty much nearly impossible to stop on the grass, you're going to end up hitting into a driver who's just span in front. So I think you're right. I think incident points are going to be in the higher numbers that we've seen, and potentially green flag laps will be in the lower numbers that we've seen. But we hope that these guys can, they've had plenty of practice in NASCAR, plenty of practice in oval. They should know what they're doing by now. So hopefully we'll have some good racing, good clean racing, good green flag running.
Yeah, indeed, let's see, because we're drawing closer to the mark, to the beginning of the race, and with that, just before qualifying, I think I'll be in due time with tonight's prayer. But first, before we get any religious acts going, let us, in the name of what is holy in the world, fade the music before, and let us not defile the Holy Lord with such profanious things. Anyway, praise the Lord for the opportunity to go around these 3 corners at Phoenix very many times tonight. Safe travels to the entirety of the field, and the best of luck to the drivers. I'm afraid they're gonna need it. As always, our thoughts go out to the hard-working graphic cards, CPUs, especially those older computers. Special thoughts for them out tonight, especially if they got their crowds on. Get them off, by the way, COVID-19 rules. And of course, let us all in union pray for a good race for everyone. Amen. And with that said,
well said.
With that said, it's time for the congregation to go crazy. And indeed, we are getting qualifying underway here. As always, 10 minutes, a limited number of laps, and interesting strategies sometimes. We see, of course, another thing worth noting with qualifying here is, of course, that it's very much every man for himself. Of course, ensuring that no one has any kind of unfair advantages here in qualifying.
Yeah, of course. They have a couple of laps to warm their tyres up. Then they got a couple of laps of peak conditions, and well, about a 27-second lap is what we're looking for here with Hendrik de Grave on your screen at the moment. I'm sure he'll be very keen to try and get a good lap time and qualify far up the order. Actually, he's been in the chat already saying that he needs a silky smooth right foot to whisper against the loud pedal. A very poetic comment that he's put in the chat. So, be as light as you can. This will be painful, apparently, says Hendrick. So, yeah, very nice little verse he's got going there. He's challenging you for the prayer band. Looks at it. The most beautiful sounds we've heard today so far.
By the way, while we have the time, let us just have a look at the championship standings here. Remind you, this round 5, the penultimate round of this opening season of SRW Dynamixx NASCAR Racing. Sergio Hernandez, 153 points to his name, only 13 clear of Kenzie Newhoff, very, very much still in the fight. Frederick van Eekhoven, whose name I shall of course make proper at some point, 134 points to his name, with Bart de Vos 111, then Matthew Sufi, Anton Dupin, Greg Franks there 105, very, very close battle for top 5 positions as well there in the overall standings, goes all the way down to Jan Tusting in 8th, and Steve Kleiss actually also pretty much a part of that in 9th, and Hendrik de Grabe with the beautiful poetic comment in 10th place. And I'll just scroll down through for you to have a look at the rest of it, because it's an awful amount of names, and I'm afraid we're gonna miss too much of qualifying if we delve too deeply into the standings. Anyway, early days, Jacko, early days in qualifying. Bart de Vos has set a provisional pole time of 27.1, 2/10 clear of the closest time so far.
Yeah, it's impressive from Bart. He did well last time in qualifying as well, and Kimber Hayes up there, a whole host of drivers that we haven't seen, and we've only seen 12 times being posted so far, with 3 minutes into qualifying, and that sounds like there's plenty of time left as Ryan Walker gets all kind of loosey-goosey, and straight into the Wally, unfortunately, the 555 car. That's probably a theme that we're going to be seeing quite a bit today, and that's what Hendrick was talking about, really. As soon as you get a little bit too aggressive on the loud pedal, it can spit you out and really show you what kind of horsepower is hiding under the hood here in this sort of almost unforgiving, horrible speedway here. As Brian Harris is exactly the same thing. These drivers hopefully will have seen plenty of practice, will get used to that sort of treatment for their cars and know a little bit better. But obviously everybody's trying to eke out as much time as they can for the qualifying laps. In the racing, we may see a slightly more conservative approach with tyres, strategy, and obviously not wanting to wreck out being a big part of it.
Yeah, indeed. But just have a look at the dashboard. I've left it up for some time here. Of course, now even Bauman's swings off, so it's not going to make us too much wiser there. But just looking at it, the speeds around here it's a completely different ballpark than what we're used to seeing on these oval tracks, with speeds often around 300 kilometers an hour, 180 miles an hour down the straights. This is certainly nowhere near that today, and the cornering speeds a lot slower today, which goes to show just how much the shallow banking means here. Brian Harris staying high, maybe to get a little bit more out of the banking. It's interesting to see if it's one of these tracks where maybe even taking the apex isn't necessarily fastest, at least through all the corners. Brian Harris currently 11th. As he slows down here, we are halfway through. Van Eekhoven here has done a pretty good time as well. It's Bart de Vos still with that 27.119, provisionally on pole halfway through the session. I'm interested to see just how the rest of the usual top runners are going to fare here. It's quite different than the other tracks we've been in so far.
Yeah, Sergio Hernandez hasn't put a lap time in. Pablo Cortal, who obviously qualified on pole last week, he hasn't put a time in yet. Matteo Sufi, I think John Tusting's just put a time in. That's put in 15th. But pretty much everyone is in the pits as well. It's really surprising. Maybe they just keep spinning into the walls. But Frederick van Eekhoven, he certainly will be trying to close out a little. But it's just a touch, isn't it? I mean, 0.02 of a second. You can't even blink that fast. It's going to be so difficult to get that time, though, isn't it? It's so close yet so far.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I'm sorry. It just goes to show, as we had in practice as well, Jacko, we saw the times were very, very close indeed, with several drivers, and if I recall 6 or 7 drivers within 1/10 of a second in practice. And that was, of course, over the course of an hour and 20 minutes. Here is Matthew Sufi, who will be hoping to increase qualifying pace. But of course, also worth remembering, I think, that in these races you can really come from a far way back in the course of the race, as Sufi goes third fastest here with that's a 27.307. So just about 2/10 off the pace. Tim Perry for Boosted Motorsports. It's fourth at the moment. Then Kippy Haight, Greg Franks, and Hendrik de Grave. With
Oh, no, he's going into the wall there. Oh, nasty. Nasty way to go there. Sergio Hernandez has put a time in, by the way. He's in 15th, though. He'll just be warming himself up. Here's Pablo Cortel in the S2V car, and there is Sergio Hernandez as he comes across the line. Where's that going to put him? He was 4/10 off originally, and he's up to third. 27.2 is his time so far, just over a 10th of a second, but about as close to a 10th of a second as you possibly can be away from Bart de Vos. He's going to carry on for a quick lap time with Robert Lundgren as well in 11th place. Is he going to be able to crack the top 10? He looks like he's going to touch slower. Cortel's just gone third, dislodging Hernandez, putting him down to fourth, but only by about 200ths of a second. So this is going to be very, very close. I think, as you said, Hasse, apart from the fastest man on circuit, which was Sergio Hernandez in practice, sorry, the top, the second to, I think it was 6th or 7th, was separated by a 10th of a second. So if that doesn't show you how close this race is going to be, then we don't know what else we can throw at you.
That's a very good point here. And look at who's out on track at the moment here. Sergio Hernandez, Kenji Newhoff, and Pablo Cortel. So all drivers we're expecting to see at the spicy end of affairs. Kenji Newhoff actually saving his laps for very late in the session. I think he wants to know what kind of times he needs to be aiming for. He has yet to put in a fast one, but of course still warming it up here. We can go with the 62 car of the Dutchman. As he flies on through. Let's see. Purple through, or not purple, I'm sorry, just a green sector through sector 1. He'll be hoping for more than that. But as I said before, it's plausible that you can do a lot from a long way back here. But the danger is, oh, that's a purple sector 2 for Kenji Newhoff. And let's see what time is that going to be. It's going to be 4th fastest, but only half a 10th off. This is exactly what we're talking about. Of course, a short lap indeed. And I reckon for those starting, well, outside the top 10, basically, I think what they're going to be thinking about the most is the fact that it's going to be quite dangerous down there in the midfield here. I can only imagine that the first few laps warming up the tires, getting everything into into gear, so to say, that they're going to be quite tricky, and it's going to be a lot of cars on not a lot of space down the track there.
There certainly is, yeah. Bram van Uytven is actually a driver who we're probably going to be looking at to improve his time this time round. He's the only other driver out on circuit apart from Hernandez Newhoff. As van Uytven comes across the line, and that does go him into, it is an improvement, but only puts him into P11. But you're absolutely right, yeah, it's going to be really difficult to sort of make sure you're safe in the mid-pack. The closer the lap times are to one another, obviously the closer the drivers are going to be. If anything, you know, in that mid-pack, you'd be hoping that they're a couple of tenths apart, because then there might be space for you to sort of like go attack and pick off your opponents rather than just basically always looking in your rearview mirrors, your side mirrors, attack the person in front, look who's on the outside of you, on the inside. It's going to be really very close, and as I said, that sparks pace car periods, caution periods, as Hernandez lapped once again, although I don't think he went any quicker in that one. So I don't think he's going to be able to get that half a tenth that he needs to get pole position. And Bart de Vos is absolutely, well, he'll be the happiest man in the stadium, I'm sure, with pole position time that he's put in at the moment. Here's Van Uytven crossing the line as the checkered flag gets dropped. Will he have gotten his lap time in? Oh, I think he did, but it was slower. So we've got the grid up for you now.
Indeed, Bart de Vos for ASK Volante Racing in pole position, with Frederick van Eekhoven second, Sergio Hernandez, our championship leader, third, and then Kenji Newhoff rounding off row 2. Pablo Cortel and Matthew Sufi on row 3, with Tim Perry and Kim Behade on row 4. Greg Franks and Hendrik de Grave on row 5. Bram van Uytven, Steve Gleis on row 6. And let us then spring down a bit further with Robert Lundgren back here in racing tonight for Boosted Motorsports, and joined by Paul Gosling on row 7, Ryan Walker and Anton Dupin row 8, and then Stuart Musselwhite and John Tusting on row 9. 10th row of cars will be Kurt van Hoornacker and Steven de Wolf, and then it's Brian Harris and Sven Calbert row 11. Row 12 consists of Ian Roots and Evan Baumann, and the final couple of rows, well, it's just a row and a half, if you will, consists of Thijs van den Berge, Yves Fredericks and Lieven op de Beek.
What a grid we've got coming on here, and less than a tenth of a second between the top 5 as well. I mean, it's going to be good, but I've actually just stuck that in the chat as a comment. I didn't realise it was on caps lock. Apologies, everyone. I'm not shouting at you, but I'm just making a point that, yeah, the qualifying is so close, and even further down the order as well, you're talking about minute differences between the drivers. So no matter where you're going to look tonight, no matter where you are on the grid, if you're driving, if you're looking at as a spectator watching the stream, or us as commentators, you're going to see a fantastic fight. And I'm just having a look at the number 48 Boosted car. I think they've got a new livery, and that looks absolutely hella fresh.
That it really does. That is fresh is the word, I think, as the Prince of Bel Air. That's beautiful indeed. Now warm-up laps just about to get underway here at Phoenix, and just how much of an ordeal it's going to be, well, it's going to reveal to us shortly indeed, as the pace car will bring him up to speed before it's time for Boogity, and it's time for more Monday night NASCAR racing here on Simracersworld TV.
It's your favourite part of the night, isn't it? It's the prayer and the boogity, boogity, boogity. That's what Hasse lives for this broadcast, isn't it?
Well, it's a good part of it. I'm not gonna lie, but I think it would be a bit of a shame and downputting to the racing action we've seen so far this season. I think what keeps me coming back is the close side-by-side action and the drama. Indeed, because few series I've ever commentated on has had the drama like this one, and that's just akin to oval racing. Anyway, the field under control by Bart de Vos as the pace car swings in, peels off, whatever you want. It's time to hit the loud pedal at Phoenix. It's boogity, 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 and 110 laps, an hour and a half, whichever we reach the first. The field is underway, and let's see if they can make it round these vital first few laps to get the heat in the tires, to get the cars rolling. And so far, fingers crossed, no curse is given. It seems the widest of angles here. I want to have the best of chances to get a good shot of the entire field here, because look at this actually, Jacko. Something that springs to mind for me is the closeness of some of the cars, and yet we've had a reasonable spread in the space of a single lap here.
Incredible. I really didn't expect this. I think everybody's just so conscious about how hard this track is to get around. They just really didn't want to end this lap in the pit lane, so they're really spacing themselves out, which obviously is sort of what we like to see, what we don't like to see. We obviously want to see close racing more than anything. Steve Clays has gained 4 positions, but the top 6 is actually as you were in qualifying. In the top 4, the drivers that have pulled away at the moment, Bart de Vos, Frederick Van Ekhoven, Sergio Hernandez, and Casey Newell. For what's happened here?
So we got an incident here. It's Brian Harris and the number 7 car involved as well, a third machine. Brian Harris actually relatively lucky here. He's gonna escape the situation with no damage, and just gonna see if we can. It's just the slightest bit of contact between the two. Brian Harris for Volante Racing. Oh, and that's one of the Simracersworld cars. I wonder if that was Stuart Musselwhite in the 18 machine, but we're in for our first caution period, and sure that didn't last too long. And actually a bit of a shame, that one, Jacko, because it was a very, very minor contact indeed.
Yeah, I thought we might have got away with that, to be honest, because although we had a couple of cars obviously facing the way that they probably shouldn't be facing, there was only one little contact with the SRW car that actually turned the number 7 car, I believe, Kurt Van Hoornacker, in the right direction in the end. And Brian Harris obviously just got turned himself back round, didn't get hit at all, and he carried on racing. It's a bit of a shame, but iRacing obviously saw that 2 drivers were involved, or not currently, or registered it as a crash basically, and decided to stick the caution period out. So here we are under caution, and the pace car will be travelling us around for the first one of the evening, and probably won't be the last, to be fair, but it's going to offer us a chance to regroup the pack a little bit.
Regroup the pack indeed, and offer us a chance to shout out our sponsors, or our sponsor, because we only have one for this series, and what a sponsor it is. It's Dynamixx Racing Simulators, and to my best of understanding, Dynamixx can offer you quite a bit more as well, and for more of that good stuff, you can check out their website. And while we have the yellow flag, well, if you're interested at least, why not check it out now? You know, you can open another tab. Anyway, I don't know how many laps we're going to be doing per caution period here. The rule of thumb so far has been 3, although we have seen tracks where we've done more laps. But it seems lights are off. It's going to peel off this lap, Jacko, which means it's 3 laps. Which is also nice, because it means we can get the caution periods done relatively quickly. And that is a blessing, if anything.
Yeah, it's quite nice as well, because last week it was about a 30-second lap, but with the caution periods, we actually had 4 laps of caution periods, and each lap took 1.5 minutes. Well, here it only had 30 seconds on, so we are actually only in the safety car for a lot, or pace car, sorry, for a lot shorter amount of time than we were last week. So, you know, a few are going to get pulled out tonight, I'm sure, but hopefully they won't interrupt the racing too much, and like you said, we can get going.
Indeed, we can, as the pace car is going to peel off momentarily. Oh, Van Eekhoven, I think it was, getting racy with Bart de Vos. And I wasn't even planning for that. Right, look how they're rowing up on the inside. They're very tightly packed. Oh, and the Bart de Vos goes early. Van Eekhoven doesn't really seem to get the reaction there, and might be a bit of an advantage there for Sergio Hernandez, but the Dutchman cuts down ahead. Cuts down in front. Matty Sufi there on the outside of Cortel. The professor's not going to be able to answer that one. Very nice move from Matty Sufi as well there. Here's Steve Kleiss up in 7th place in the yummy M&M's Peanuts machine. And it makes me want to jump down to the local store for a bit of chocolate indeed. Kip Behait is on his tail in the 86. And then it's Greg Frank 9th. Tim Perry, who started pretty far up the order, is down into 10th place at the moment, but got plenty of time for him to make a return to greatness later on.
All the drivers seem to have remembered that they may well be on cold tyres after a pace car period, which is quite impressive, because normally we see them, a few of them maybe a little bit forgetful and a little bit hot-headed into a couple of moves, but luckily everybody's just sort of calmed down just a touch as they're on board with Fredericks in the QSR Racing school cars. There's a bit of a touch on the outside there by the number 5 car of Vandenberg in the Dynamixx Race Simulators car. A couple of changes of position at the back there, but at the moment the top 4 is as you were. Matteo Sufi is actually overtaking Pablo Cortel into that restart, with Steve Kleiss gaining another couple of positions. What's that?
Yeah, indeed it is. Looking pretty good here. Oh, we've got a bit of a battle here. Let's just see. Oh, I'm afraid I heard something that sounded like crunchy cars. But somehow even Bauman's manages to stick that on the inside and actually make it stick. And that's pretty impressive indeed. Here's Matty Sufi trying to close the gap. He doesn't want those leading four to escape, but the slipstream is probably not...
Oh, with the caution.
Oh, we've had a problem. We've had contact. We've had a crash. This is Eve Fredericks. It's Brian Harris. No, again! It's not Brian Harris. Incredibly so. Eve Fredericks all alone, I think, in losing this one, it seems to me. And as such, perhaps a bit of a surprise that that iRacing decided to throw the old yellow flags out for that situation there.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be under caution period for that one, but we are. So, you know, it's another chance to sort of everyone regroup, potentially another opportunity for a few drivers to make their way up the order. I doubt anybody will jump into the pits, but I could be proven wrong. I quite often am proven wrong. Obviously, depending on everybody driver's strategy, sometimes coming in and undercutting is preferable, as it looks like Van Eekhoven and Sergio Hernandez giving the old fake. The old switcheroo almost had me fooled, and I'm sure half the grid were probably fooled as well. Bart de Vos was stubborn enough to say, you know what, lads, I'm just staying out. You can do what you want to do, I'm staying out here.
Well, it's interesting because they haven't really been on the green flag for more than, what, 4 or 5 laps, perhaps 6. So you can understand why they're thinking, you know what, track position is still going to be a little bit more important. And if it keeps on playing out like this, we're gonna see a lot more of the rear bumper of the pace car, I'm afraid. One thing I would like actually is for SDK to add the camera option of going on board with the pace car. And I'm gonna have to you have to
send them a message.
Yeah, but that is one thing I'll have to, but I'll also have to speak to my camera contact. You're smart, Patrick. But I'd like him to see if he could conjure up a way to get on board with the pace car. I think that would be a nice viewpoint of the field, as we expect them to be bunching up. It's gonna be this lap, or is it gonna be the next? Oh, it's gonna be the next one. They're gonna do one more single file, bunch up double file, and then go back to green flag racing again.
I think one thing we can take away, obviously, is take this time to sort of reflect a little bit on maybe the series. Obviously, under caution periods, we have a chance to think and talk about a few other things, Hasse. But I think it's been well received, hasn't it? This NASCAR event. I think we've had obviously a whole host of drivers. We had about 40 drivers in total who have participated in this series so far. We've still got 27 cars on the grid, and if anything, the standard is getting better and better each week, isn't it? Obviously, there's a few drivers that are pulling out at the front in terms of championship points-wise, or consistently at the front in qualifying. But in terms of retention on people wanting to get involved, it's been a successful series, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it has. It certainly has. It's been great to see the action. It's been it's been the vibe, at least, that I've been getting, that people have been having a lot of fun taking part in the races as well, which is, of course, hugely important for the success and the longevity of any kind of series. I can tell you as much as that there might be more.
Oh.
Without saying too much. Have I said too much? I hope not. Anyway.
Ian's racing at the moment. He won't listen to that, don't worry.
Oh, you never know when the good old big boss is listening along. I wouldn't be surprised, but oh no, he's probably in the race chat with the other Simracersworld esports drivers and having a bit of a team radio going on here. Anyway, Jacko, we're going to go over to you for this second restart of this race after the second caution period, as the pace car is going to peel off in a moment.
Yeah, Bart DeVos leading the way yet again then. He's going to start the field for the third time this evening, the number 6 car with, as I said before, the top 6 are pretty much as they were. I think Cortel Mayer just got past Sufi. Actually, no, they've just swapped back positions. So as Bart DeVos drops the hammer early again, he's making a habit of this. He's catching the team down undercar of Frederick Van Ekhoven out yet again. Tell you what, Sergio Hernandez might be catching him out a little bit here as well as he flies up the inside. Bart DeVos has got a nice little gap between the two drivers that are fighting out for second place. And I'm sure Hernandez will be very, very keen to get that position made his. He's on the inside. He's going to be the favourite for it. 477 car is going to have to just be aware that he doesn't want to be on the outside. A big trip for the number 18 car of Stuart Musselwhite. As luckily he doesn't bring out the caution period because he's able to rejoin. He gets another little squirrel on coming out the last corner, but that was very close to being a big disaster.
That could have gone hugely wrong indeed, but they, or should I rather say he, the good steward, he managed to keep it going there. Tim Paris trying to get up the inside of Ian Roots, and I think he's going to manage to here as they come out towards the back corner and to start another lap. Ian Roots there opening the door for what's that, Van Hohenacker? Or in the 7 machine? Well, that is Kurt Van Hohenacker, but he is a lap down at the moment. So DeVos leads Hernandez, Van Ekhoven, Newhoff, Sufi, Cortel, Klaes, Franks, Behait, and De Grave. That is your top 10 after 17 out of 110 laps here. We've been going for 12 minutes. We've already seen 2 caution periods, although, to be fair, could have been a lot worse, couldn't it?
It could have been a lot worse, yeah, and with any luck, we'll have some green flag running, because what we always like to see is different strategies utilised by different drivers. As Hasse's dog in the background agrees with me, it's always an interesting insight to see how these guys utilise the caution period as well. Who's going to be gambling to maybe go a little bit further on the tyres? banking on the fact that there might be a caution period, who's going to be going early and just ignoring the caution period theory altogether and just getting his tyres on the track as quickly as possible. That's all the sort of decisions these guys are going to have to make, as Opdet is actually falling down. He's conceded one to Brian Harris there in the Volante racing car. And,
keep it.
Tell you
what.
what.
Yes, he keeps it. Nice work, Brian Harris, with a bit of a fishtaily moment there as Stuart Wasselwhite, I think, comes past. Up the inside. Straggling through there, but it also seems to me that the track really narrows in through the corners, then widens on the straights, which is deceitful because it makes you think that you can go 2 or 3 wide into the corners, and when you try, you find yourself on a very, very narrow patch of tarmac all of a sudden, and it's a tough place to be. Bart DeVos still, just afraid, because sometimes when you see that people don't come back, and it's just the last you see of them in the race that they disconnect, which would have been a huge shame indeed. Oh, look at Van Dijkhoven getting loose there! Frederick Van Dijkhoven! Oh, just about keeps it, but Kenzie Newhoff gets past. We're gonna have another look at it. Look at this here. Oh, this is Newhoff. We're gonna go with Van Dijkhoven.
Well, he gets sideways as well. Very close here, Kenzie, from losing it, but even closer is Van Dijkhoven on the outside. And I think, Hasse, you were saying to we were talking obviously before the broadcast went live, and you said it's almost like a road circuit as the number 19 cars of Sergio Hernandez has dropped down, and he's potentially going to spawn another caution period. But that's absolutely massive news. Newhoff is now your second place driver. Sergio Hernandez all the way down in 24th now, and I believe we've actually lost Frederick Van Dijkhoven. Oh, he's in 6th place. I feel like there's 1 or 2 more drivers that we've lost along the way with that little incident. I'll see if I can keep an eye out.
I'm not quite sure. I'm going to see if we can find this incident from Hernandez's point of view.
Yeah, while you're doing that, Hasse, obviously we're having a look at Greg Vance. Here is Van Dijkhoven, and that's Cortel behind him, who's now in second place.
He makes contact with Sufi. He makes contact with the 64 car of Matthew Sufi, and we're still under green flag. So disaster indeed for Sergio Hernandez. Bart DeVos with a bit of a blinker here. Newhoff second. Now it's the Professor Cortel in 3rd place. Franks is in 4th. Klaes in 5th. Van Dijkhoven 6th. And at the moment, it's Hendrik de Grabe in 7th place here with teammate Anton Dupin on the tail. And there is the 64 car of Matthew Sufi. He's going to hope that his radiator didn't take any damage there. Thomas, the question if he just went to the rallycross track, he might have been thinking he wanted to do a Joker there. But all jokes aside, it looked like a rather unfortunate incident. I'm just going to see if we can get it from Sergio's viewpoint, because I sort of really want to see just what happened to him there.
Yeah, well, whatever happens, to be fair to him, is going to be big comeuppance in the championship, really. It's going to be...
he loses it
he just goes loose! He went very loose, didn't he? And he just went off up to at the top of the circuit and ended up coming back across, and actually that's what made the contact.
We're on the yellow. We are under yellow. Thijs van den Berg, the number 5 car. Heavy contact with the inside wall. Let's see if we can get a little better of a view there. Let's see the 999 machine behind, but this seems like a solo incident to me. Brian Harris, I'm afraid, has been involved as well. That thing could have been what caused the incident, or the caution, I'm sorry. Oh, Harris just loses it on the inside as well there. Oh, and he's going to come. He turns it around. Brilliant work. It looked like he was going to collect Stuart Musselwhite. Hernandez might have lost it there as well. He did. Sergio Hernandez again. Look at this.
Oh, tell you what, they're getting the back end out now, aren't they? There's about 3 or 4 drivers that went past Harris with their rear ends out, and it's because Harris was parked on the race, or the entry into the racing line. So a couple of drivers were doing well not to stick it in the tyre wall, and I was about to say I think Sergio Hernandez could use going into the pits. Everybody else is going into the pits anyway, so let's see if Sergio Hernandez can pull something out the bag on this restart. But now he's in that dangerous area where it's basically the danger zone, isn't it, as everybody piles in by the looks of it, apart from potentially the number 7 car. Who is that?
The number 7 cars that
Kurt Van
Kurt Van Honacker, Robert Lundgren, Tim Perry, and Sven Kalbert all staying out. And they, I think, have been in with damage earlier in the race, so it does make sense in the end.
It does indeed, yeah. It's an odd pit lane, really, isn't it, being on a curve? You don't see that in many racetracks around the world, and no, NASCAR is slightly different. There's a bit of bum fight in the pit exit there, by the looks of it, as a whole host of cars are trying to fight for position to get out as quickly as possible. As you say, actually, the order now is Robert Lundgren, Tim Perry, Sven Kalbert, Pablo Cortel is actually in 4th place. Bart de Vos is in 5th. So there's been a switch for the race, well, the provisional race lead, shall we say, between Cortel and Bart de Vos.
It's interesting. The professor himself for S2V has taken Bart de Vos for his K Valente Racing. And I'm sure Carsten's going to be happy to see his driver up there in the standings yet again. The number 6 car having done so well. And Brian Harris, rather unlucky. And it's just the story of his season so far. A lot of potential, not a lot of luck to pull it off in the end. And we've seen him do some amazing things to go right through the field. And we've also seen him involved in an incident or 5, and most of them so no fault of his own. But it is just a tricky area to be in, that big midfield scrap where everything is just so chaotic. It seems to be the big danger zone, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, quite often in real life racing, my brother, when he races in the British touring cars and he qualifies around the mid-pack, we always have our hearts in our mouths, really, because whatever grid you are in the world, it's a danger zone, and especially in an oval-style circuit race like we've got here, it's so easy. I mean, we've seen so many people just lose the back end, and everybody's now on fresh tyres, which offer a little bit more grip, but they're stone cold under a pace car. So as soon as we get underway, they've had no opportunities to warm the car up at all, warm the tyres back up or anything like that. We're going to be gunning it. The drivers at the front, I'm sure, will have probably slightly warmer tyres, but everyone in the midfield, basically everyone else actually, it's going to be on stone cold tyres. And pace cars breed pace cars, and unfortunately, well, I won't say it. We won't say it. We're hoping for green running.
Pace cars breed pace cars. Does that
well, they're
mean
not
they
safety
do
cars,
it like
I can't
they
say
do
that.
on the Discovery Channel, Jacko, or what?
Oh, absolutely,
anyway, all
yeah.
jokes aside, pace car's going to peel off in a moment. It's going to be the responsibility of Robert Lundgren to get the field running again, and it's boosted 1-2 at the moment with Lundgren and Perry looking very good. The 48 and 22 there ahead the field. A bit of team tactics might be coming into play here. Let's see what Bart de Vos thinks of that. He goes very early. Robert Lundgren gets a super run here. Cortel in 3rd on the outside there of Sven Kalbert, and Bart de Vos is on the inside of Kenzie Newhoff, who tries to go around. There's the 73 car in the way. Might get in the way of Newhoff, but Bart de Vos might get in there on the inside. Let's see, they almost go 3 wide, 2 wide there, and they're still behind the 73. Oh, there's a bit of a tap there, and Newhoff goes wide. That's going to open the door for the bus, and he's through. Back there behind is Matty Sufi up the inside of the 3 car. That's the one up. Oh, they make contact.
Oh my God,
and
how are they still going?
Somehow they're still going. Somehow we haven't got the yellow flag out. And Matthew Sufi, he's not too happy about it. That the number 3, the yummy chocolate M&M machine there on the inside, doesn't look too happy as well. And several cars feeling the heat, feeling the damage. Bart de Vos here fighting for 3rd place. The Professor Cortel going forward as well on the 48. And it's really heating up, and we're back to yellow flag, I'm afraid, because I think Steve Kleiss has had a kind of problem here, and we're going to see just what happened to him.
Well, that was extremely intense, but yeah, you can see that Steve Clay's in the M&M car. I think that was spawned from damage earlier on, obviously, that he suffered a couple of minutes ago, or a couple of seconds ago, really. And that caused him to have a real problem in terms of turning into a few of the corners. I think it was Matteo Sufi that he had those little incidents with. But yeah, Robert Lundgren has just about managed to keep his lead away from Pablo Cortel, who, by the way, looked like he was on for an unbelievable cutback. It's something we don't often see in oval racing, but it's something that we see, obviously, in road racing, track racing, you could say. But he didn't quite manage to pull it off before we went into the yellow flag period. So Cortel is in 2nd place, but wow, he cut through those drivers like they weren't even there, didn't he?
very much did, and it's not the first time we've seen it. I'm gonna take this second caution. Oh, the second. What is this? Fourth caution period, I believe. But I'm gonna take it as a chance to just say a very good evening, a very warm welcome to everyone who's joined us post-race start. Anyway, and so nice to see you all with us on a cold, chilly Monday evening. That almost in December, the last day of November indeed. The month of Christmas begins tomorrow, and no matter how you be feeling about that, I think something that's universally nice is the amount of lights that it brings to an otherwise very dark month. Of course, a big shout out to our sponsor, Dynamixx Racing Simulators. Go check them out while you have the time, either now, during yellow, or perhaps after the race, if you're gonna stay up for a while afterwards. Anyway,
have you decorated, Hasse? Speaking of Christmas, have you managed to put up any lights yourself?
Yes, I live in a den of like lighting chains, or what you want to. I think that's what it's called. I'm actually. You know what I mean. There's
I know what you mean. Yeah.
There's a lot of lights in my living room, and I think the problem is that they're there all year around because they're just cozy and nice.
And that's the problem. Is you stick these decorations up, and you just think, I don't want to take them down. They look so nice. I feel homely right now.
Exactly. No, but we are starting a little bit of Christmas decorating here. A little bit within the limits of reason, I want to say, but you know, you don't want to. At least I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, Jacko. You might be the type who puts up Santas all over the place and stuff like that. But you don't want to overdo Christmas decorations. You want to get through the month of November without getting nauseous.
Well, to be honest, the only reason why I don't do that is the cost of decorations. But we do have our tree up. We did put the tree up yesterday, so we are starting to get excited. It's about buying the presents now. As the safety cars lights go off. Speaking of lights, he's feeling like the Grinch right now. Is the pace car ruining our racing a little bit, but he'll be spawning back the green flag racing sooner rather than later with Robert Lundgren at the top of the field.
Yeah, indeed, Lundgren, who's done well to keep it. Let's see if he can keep it for another stint. It didn't last too long, but tires might be getting a little worn here. Mind you, that happens very quickly indeed. Oh, Bart de Vos. That network connection of his, I don't know if it's just for me, if it's for the rest of the field as well. Let's hope it stays stable for the rest of the race. We can do with a bit of blinking. That's all right in the end. But I just hope that he doesn't suffer any disconnection issues. Fingers crossed, no curse intended, of course. The commentating version of no pun intended. Anyway, let's see here as the safety car. Pace car is going to peel off. And Robert Lundgren goes early. Cortels walk to it though. And Tim Perry on the outside of Bart de Vos. Let's see if he can hold that position. Coming into turn one, he certainly can. Look at the send from Bart de Vos. Diving into the corner. And it's Newhoff on the tail of those two. Van Eekhoven is down in 9th place. Relatively okay, I think, after the bit of contact. That car seems a bit biffed, though. It does not look too good to me. Oh, Tim Perry, almost 3 wide there. Bart de Vos on the inside. It is Cortel on the outside of Robert Lundgren, and he's getting round there. Amazing stuff. The professor takes the lead.
Yeah, I think Lundgren and the whole host of other cars, Tim Perry has included that, are waving goodbye to their tyres. I'm amazed they didn't take tyres in the last caution period, but they tried to hang on to the car, but it looks like they haven't quite been able to hang on to the position that they've gained here. And this is Evan Baumann. In the background, there's a big off, and I think that might be another caution period because there's a few little bumps and bruises. Nothing major, but enough, I'm sure, to cause a yellow flag. We'll see if it is or not, but that is Stephen DeWolf.
Yeah, it is indeed another caution period, I'm afraid, and it was indeed Stephen DeWolf who was involved in that one. So Cortel now leading Lundgren, and let's see how many of these drivers choose to dip into the pits this time around. Doesn't seem like it's too many to me. They're still all staying out here. Sven Kalbertsen looks to be for repairs, I think. It might be a tow there. Paul Gosling in as well. Jen Tustings are both of the Quantum cars coming in for a pit stop. It seems like a lot of the cars who are a little bit further down the order anyways will go for the pit stop now. And they could stand to gain quite a lot from that later on. It really depends on how the next sort of minutes of the race play out once we go back to green flag on lap 40 or lap 39. We're about to start lap 40, to just correct myself into correctness. And Jacko, if you were to shortly sum up the race so far tonight, what would your description be?
Well, if I was to shortly sum up the race, it would probably be saying that the race has been short. It's not been so many green flag running. Obviously, I think the longest period we had was right at the beginning, which was quite impressive. Obviously, Cortel making his way up. Sergio Hernandez was big drama, which is certainly going to be a problem for him in the championship potentially. Obviously, going into the last round, not next week, but the week after. Cortel has done a bit of a late surge, so he's performing well. Bart de Vos, I'm sure, will probably be a bit annoyed to see his lead that he's worked so hard on keeping and obviously making right at the start. It has been dashed, and now they've obviously got a couple of cars out of position around them, the likes of Robert Lundgren and Tim Perry, whose tyres they pitted on lap 11, so they are 29 laps old. Does someone correct me if my maths is wrong? Compared to everybody else's, who's only 13 laps old. So those drivers really needed to jump into the pits at some point, sooner rather than later, I'd say. It's been interesting. As I say, there's been plenty of drama in such a short amount of time.
Indeed. And given that we're only doing 110 laps here, we're not too far from the halfway distance marker. We'll see if we can get a few extended periods of green flag running here. We'll be looking at safely making the lap count tonight, which will be nice, of course. Also, from the driver's perspective, because I don't think they're wanting to sit in there for too long. It's surely something that demands a very intense focus, at least. Anyway, drivers lining up to file. Safety, pace car. The pace car.
We never know what to call it, do we?
The pace car. The pace car. Anyway, the pace car lights are off, is what I intended to say. And that means this time we'll go over to Jacko for the restart.
Yeah, indeed. I think Robert Lundgren is actually the driver who's going to control the pace. He's on the outside, though. Pablo Cortel is on the inside. Unless Cortel got the jump on him, actually. I may have missed that one, Hasse, but I think by the looks of the body language from Cortel's car, it's actually going to be Cortel as he's on the inside, who's going to control this pace. So, well, something I slightly missed there as we were looking at a bit of drama. The pace car comes in. Cortel doesn't go early, but he does go now, and he's actually caught out a couple of the other drivers. Lundgren keeps his second place. Bart de Vos on the inside is going to take third, and a whole host of other drivers as well. Patrick Van Ekhoven has lost out a little bit there after an earlier scare. Ryan Walker here with the 555 car on the inside of Sergio Hernandez, the recovering Lucky Dogs driver, not feeling so lucky so far this race. He'll be putting the pace on now to try and get as quickly through the order as he can, and potentially before another caution period. As Bart de Vos comfortably in second place, Cortel in first, and a bit of a wide moment there by Kenzie Newhoff, who goes past on Tim Perry, who must be feeling like he's going to be like a stone in water the way he's going to drop through this order. Kenzie's up the inside, and the next one is Anton Dupin, who's going to look as well. And here goes Hendrik de Grave, who's been overtaken by the ever-advancing Sergio Hernandez.
Indeed, and this time around, we've gotten to running. So far, at least, look at this here. Cortel, Bart de Vos, and then Kenzie Newhoff just trying to get along on the train because it's about to leave here. Tim Perry. Oh, I think they might come to regret the fact that they didn't stop for tires, and they're quite a way off the pace at the moment. As we're under green flag, so that's a relatively bad situation. Here's Robert Lundgren in 48. Same situation for him. There's Hernandez on the inside. There's a Flemish car as well. Oh, they're very, very close. And the 87 is going to sneak up on through as well. And that's, of course, Hendrik de Grave. Oh, Ryan Walker with a sneaky move as well into turn one in behind there. And that was on Bram van Uyten. Cortel still leaves Bart de Vos, Kenzie Newhoff, Tim Perry, and Anton Dupin as your top five. And Anton Dupin here in the 14 car, he's jumped up 11 places from his starting position. Oh, we've had a problem for Ryan Walker. And it's not been enough to cause a yellow flag, at least not yet. Let's see here, he gets loose. Oh, I'm gonna think it's turn 3, and he just about to keep it. Oh, that's very nice from Ryan indeed. Just about to hold the loose tail. The fishy tail of his machine, if you will. The cup cars do get fishy easily here in Leaders Cup. Pablo Cortel trying to defend the inside from Bart DeFuss, who's really trying to get his nose in there with all of the gut, but it's not that easy, is it?
No, it's not, and you can see the body language of the car. Oh no, Sergio Hernandez has gone sideways again. He's kept it this time. I thought we were going to have a repeat of what we saw before. All that hard work that Sergio Hernandez was doing, and there's a little bit of contact this time between himself and the 87.
An incredible save from Hernandez there, I have to say. That is absolutely wild. Wow. The skill, lucky dogs. Well, every dog has his day. This could just be the day of Sergio Hernandez. If that's luck or skill, I don't know. But Murray Walker said it. I know it's not time for Murray Walker quotations while we're doing oval racing, but it is not enough to be lucky. You do have to be good. And Sergio Hernandez very much is that now. Pablo Cortel, I don't think he can hold Bart DeFuss here for the inside line any much longer. While I say that, he keeps him away from having the overlap, but here comes DeFuss. And you know what? You can see it. There's just a slight bit more grip there, I think, higher up in the track. And it allows Cortel to keep position here. Kenzie Newhoff, though, has come right back at the front duo.
Yeah, I think it's an odd thing, isn't it? But by the looks of it, Cortel's found a little bit of a line that maybe a few of the other drivers haven't thought of before. It must just be that it's a bit mellower out wider. And here goes Bram van Uytven, who's gone out wide. Managed to make the sit by the looks of it. But there is Sergio Hernandez. This is the view of van Uytven, actually. So that's pretty terrifying, really. If you're coming around the corner and all of a sudden you see a sideways car and you've got nowhere else to go, look what he just got out of the way of it. We're back up the caution.
We've got a problem here for the Yummy M&M's machine, and that's brought out the yellow flag yet again. Let's see what happened here to Steve Gleis. Oh, he just loses it. And you know what? This is another situation where I'm having to say we really could have been without the caution flag there. I'm sorry to say for Steve, because of course he won't mind too much. He's got a bit of damage. It's going to be a welcome opportunity for, I think, the most of the field to hop in the pits here and get whatever repairs they need. Get them done, get them fixed, and get out there again.
Yeah, I mean, most drivers pitted on lap 27. Obviously, we're on lap 51 now. So if I was pretty much everyone on the field, I'd be jumping into pits, because you've pretty much done the same amount of time on these sides as you did in the first stint. And you could see a potential free stop here if everybody else does the same thing, and they all seem to be going in. The question is, does Tim Perry? Yes, Tim Perry does. So those nearly 40 lap old tyres exactly are now finally getting a rest. The 87 car of Hendrik de Graaf and the other Flemish Simsport car of Kim Behate are ignoring that advice completely, and actually quite a few drivers are as well. So all of a sudden the strategies are getting mixed up.
Yeah, indeed, and we're seeing, some of these drivers, it makes very much sense. For instance, Sven Calbert in the 73 Dynamixx Race Simulators car. Here he is. He pitted it last time on lap 38, so those tires will not be too tired, if you will. Sorry, that was poor. By the way, welcome Porsche Sport. Vince Peters, Thomas Smets, always the pleasure that we love. I think it's Bart Boland as well. Indeed, it does look tricky. And to everyone else joining us on a Monday night like this, welcome indeed. If you like the show here on Simracersworld and you think we deserve it, to hit that thumbs up button. And if you haven't already, in which case, thank you a lot. And actually, by the way, before I say anything else, we've just about rounded, or we have indeed, but we've just rounded 1,200 subscribers, which is very nice indeed. So thank you very much for that. And if you do want to see more, and if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe. A long build up to a short, a bit of a advertisement, if you will. Here is Leave It Up the Big, 6th place there in the Cactus Racing Team 565 car. He started all the way at the back. He's jumped up 21 positions. Of course, a lot of that being helped by not stopping at the last pit stop of the Big. Was at his last pit stop on round 27 as well. So, like a fair few other of the top runners, interestingly so, Frederik van Eekhoven actually the one to rejoin the quickest. He's ahead of Cortell, Newhoff, and Tim Perry from the drivers who did take their pit stops here on lap 51.
I'm actually really impressed by Tim Perry because he came from not sort of nowhere. He obviously pitted for his tyres on lap 11, maybe through damage or something like that. And he obviously jumped to the top of the field by not pitting. And then there were so many caution periods that his tyres were 40 laps old. But because he's now pitted on everybody else, he's on the same strategy as everybody else. He's actually provisionally 3rd or 4th place, which is quite incredible. And he's on the same strategy as the people around him. So that's actually a really good decision by him, just playing the caution periods really well. Obviously, the likes of Kim Verheyt and Frederick de Grey in the Flemish Simsport cars will be hoping to control the pace as much as they can. And they all pitted on lap 27. So let's see how the strategies play out now. But everyone's pretty much on a different billing.
Yeah, very much so. Pace car peeling off this lap. We'll go back to green flag racing. As they come around turn 3, it's time for more boogity 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 here from Phoenix. And the SRW Dynamixx NASCAR Winter Series as Hendrik de Grave pushes the loud pedal to the floor. And it seems a good start for Matty Sufi as well in the 64 machine. There's Sven Calvert almost touching with Stuart Musselwhite. Muscles up the inside, if you will. Cortell is losing places there on the outside. Oh, look at the set there from Kenzie Newhoff in the 62 car. Almost got it wrong. Just how he got away with that, I'm not quite sure. And I'm just afraid they're going to leave it up the bank, getting squeezed on the outside as well there, but he just manages about to keep it running, which is nice. And there is Bart de Vos coming through on the inside alongside Sergio Hernandez. They're almost making contact with Ian Roots as well in the 46 car. And yet again, the action is heating up here. Flemish Sim Sports 1-2. Then it's Simracersworld Esports 3 and 4. With Dynamixx in 5th. With Sven Calvert, and then it's Frederick van Eekhoven here up the inside of that Dynamixx car. He's looking to take 5th place. Kenzie Newhoff wanting to join the team down under bus, and he very much does so. And mind you, they're trying to break away from both Pablo Cortell and from Sergio Hernandez, who lost a few positions there. He's fighting Bart de Vos, and there's a bit of smoke there on the high side. Oh, shake and bake indeed. And it's really hefty racing here at Phoenix.
It's what you love to see, really. It's what everybody tunes in to see. It's what we love as commentators. It makes our job an awful lot easier when there's action-packed racing from the front to the back like there is here. They're pretty much everybody out the corners is getting sideways on the rear end, just chewing those rear tyres up, whether they're old or new. It doesn't seem to matter. They seem to get a little bit loosey-goosey on the rear end. So Paul Gosling on board with. Here's Ryan Walker. What's going to happen to him? And Steve Clay's on the inside. A little bit of contact. And Ryan Walker straight into the barrier. Unfortunately, Steve Clays has been involved in nearly every single incident that we've had. But that wasn't enough to spawn the safety car. So I'm really not sure what the criteria is for a pace car.
Musselwhite had a problem there. I'm sorry, but it is indeed. I'm a little bit surprised to see the sort of criteria. I'd like to know just what it goes by. I think it's... as I've understood it, it's 2 cars or more that needs to be involved. But we've still seen what I would call a single car incident spawn the yellow flag. Indeed, here's Ryan Walker's been in the pits for what I think was a fast repair, which is quite unlucky for him. Here is still looking at Stuart Musselwhite. As no! I think Sufi has gone around as well. Oh, and that's certainly going to bring out the yellow flag here. Oh, whoa, no. And that is just, let's see what...
I think they were going 2, 3, nearly 4 wide going into the corner, which obviously was never going to really work. And obviously we're looking at Gregory Ransk here. We'll try and get a picture as soon as possible. Here it is, and that's Matteo Sufi. Luckily, everyone in that little sort of gaggle just seems to avoid him a little bit, but he does get collected by a few of the other cars. Hopefully everybody else drives past nice and easily, but we are back under safety car conditions. So, sorry, not safety car conditions. Come on, Jack. This isn't European racing. It's pace car conditions. Come on.
Yeah, you'd be surprised to find just how hard it is to kill off those old habits. Kim Verheyt, I'm a little bit surprised to to see those Flemish Sim Sports cars. They pitted last time on lap 27. I'm actually, to be honest, very surprised not to see them pitting this time around. Van Eekhoven, Cornetel, Newhoff, Perry, Franks, Calvert, DeVos. I think all of these drivers staying out alongside Stuart Musselwhite, Brian Harris, and even Baumans. And a few other drivers, actually. Hernandez is pitting in. And he was in last time on... Let me just see if that's... Well, it doesn't really show, because he's in the pits right about now.
Yeah, I think I'm surprised as well by the Flemish Sim Sport guys, because obviously Frederick Van Eekhoven, Cortel, Newhoff, Tim Perry, Fransk, and obviously Calbert, actually Calbert's not one of them, have all pitted on lap 51, so their tyres have literally half the life on them than the likes of the Flemish Sim Sport cars. So, yeah, what's the play going to be for those guys? The more they push, the more life they're going to take out the tyres and try and stay in the positions they are. Maybe they're trying to play the game in terms of so many caution periods until the rest of the field also feel like they have to pit as well. It's a difficult one, but we'll see. These guys know a lot more in terms of race strategy than you or me, Hasse. We've been caught out plenty of times before as Op de Beek looks to the pits.
Yeah, and that's a late time to move in for leaving Op de Beek. Might have regretted his first call, but I think that's going to cost him quite dearly. We're going to have to see when he's going to be able to rejoin and just where he's going to be able to rejoin. Anyway, seems to me as well, Sergio Hernandez just moving into the pit lane now. What's that all about?
Well, he's already been in the pit lane.
He was just in before, yeah, but is he getting a drive-through or something? It looks. Is he stopping? He is indeed stopping. There is his booth. So he does stop. Is he going to be a lap down in this situation? I think he is. The field. Oh, it's going to be close. He's going to be in a tough spot indeed if he gets lapped by the field here as the pace car lights go out. Which means at the end of this lap we'll be back to racing conditions.
Yeah, and see if we can... Hernandez wasn't in his pit box there, so I think he's just about managed to get out, but I'm not entirely sure what the play is here for him. Maybe his previous stop that we saw him was a stop and go or a drive-through. We don't have that information with us at the moment, but Sergio Hernandez is back out in the field and he's catching this pack up. He's going to need to do it very quickly before these guys go green.
Yeah, he very much is, and I'm not quite sure he's going to be able to. He did just make it out for so slightly. And how quick is he going to be allowed to go here? He's going at what looks like full speed to me. Maybe he'll just going to... Is he going to time it perfectly? He'll be able to just fly up and around the field? No, he's going to be having to slow down, otherwise it's going to cause a huge accident here. But the Flemish Sim Sports machines have gotten the race back on to boogity green flag conditions here at Phoenix. As Pablo Cortel is going to be defending off from Frederick Van Eekhoven, trying to take the inside line, but it doesn't really work out for him. Cortel on the high line tries that around to get around the Flemish Sim Sports cars. Know that their tires are very worn by now, and so you can see, and I think it's Kip Bahane in front of the Grave, and now the 86 and 87 cars doing what they can. Is it really going to be working for him? I'm not quite sure. Here's Kenzie Newhoff, 6th place in the 62 car of Team Down Under. He's doing a very good job indeed here. So is Bart DeVos in, I was about to say in 6th place, but it's the number 6 car. But in 8th.
Yeah, I'm sure Bart DeVos will probably be all right with where he is, but obviously starting on pole and having such a good start that he did, he'll be really disappointed. Sergio Hernandez is in the mix. He's on the lead lap. He's trying to cut through the field as quickly as possible. He's doing a half-decent job of it as well, to be fair, as Tim Perry is on the inside of Kenzie Newhoff. That's Bart DeVos just behind him, and they're going side by side, this sort of pack of cars, really. Pablo Cortel has lost out to Frederick Van Eekhoven, who has gotten past one of the Flemish Supersport cars of Hendrik de Graeve. Kinderhate still leads the race, but the Team Down Under car now flooding the top end of the field, just like the Flemish Supersport cars are, though. But it looks like the Flemish cars do seem to be a bit of a sitting duck, as Tim Perry's got a good run up the inside of the 62 car, the Kenzie Newhoff, and there's a bump, and into the wall he goes. And that's, yep, there we go. Caution period spawned already as Kenzie Newworth has to drive back to the pits.
Yeah, indeed. So another look at that situation here. There's the touch from the 22. Nothing Kenzie Newworth can do. Oh, and he picks up the ever unlucky Brian Harris. And I don't
know what Brian Harris has to do to buy some luck at the moment. He seems to be involved with everything.
Yeah, and no matter what he does, it's just something that keeps on following him. It seems it's been very it's been a sad sight to see in the end. Cause you just wish him the best in the end, and knowing that the potential is there must make it all the more frustrating for him.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're on lap 69 out of 110. We've got 40 laps to go, pretty much. 40 laps to go, and we've got obviously a timer to do it in, but by the looks of it at the moment, the way we've been going, I think we will just about get the laps done, as long as obviously we get some green flag running for about 10 laps. That'd be nice. We'll be able to get the laps done, because obviously last week, if no one tuned in, I think we were at the Charlotte International Raceway, and I think we finished on a caution period, didn't we? In the end, it didn't manage to go back to green, so we actually finished on the time and the caution period, which was a bit of a shame.
Yeah, that was a little sad indeed. As you can see, a lot of the drivers that were in the pits before not bothering to take the pit stop now, and I think some of the drivers that had a little bit worn rubber underneath their cars are choosing to take that pit stop, and just how that plays out, well, it's going to be interesting. 40 laps remaining, which means that it's I think it's going to be possible to complete the race on one pit stop, and at this point you want to go as far as possible so you can have the freshest possible tires for the final sprint to the line. But how much are you counting on there being more caution periods? Well, that's the very big question indeed. And it's, if anyone could break out the crystal ball, I think a lot of the drivers would be very interested to have a look at it here.
Yeah, the mute on the comments turns up late again. And oh look, yellow flags. Lol, howdy y'all. Yeah, we're not bad, the mute. And hello to everybody who's commented. Thank you very much for getting engaged in the chat. A few people obviously feeling a bit sorry for Brian Harris, and we share your sentiment. That's for sure. But yeah, with any luck, he has actually, although with all his poor luck that he's had, he's not in a bad position really. I think he's just pitted for tyres. Yeah, so he's in 18th place at the moment. He's still gained 3 positions, even though the Volante car has been in the walls, that's for sure. And yeah, he'll be trying to fight back through with some fresh tyres. I wouldn't put it past him to make his way through. But Kimber Haight in the Flemish Simsport car, still, and Hendrick de Grace, still haven't pitted in. So these drivers clearly confident with their life expectancy on their tyres.
Yeah, indeed. And I think, if anything, they're the ones who have done the practicing. They should know, at least more than us. It's always easier to sit here in the comfortable chairs in the commentary booth and go on about what everyone does wrong. But to be fair, that's one of the really exciting points about this NASCAR oval racing, is that the strategic side of things is very, very much different, and very much different than what we're used to seeing in road racing, at least.
It is for sure, yeah. It's a mind game really as well, obviously, because we get an awful lot more pace car, safety car, caution periods, whatever you want to call them, in this series than we do on normal tracks. So yeah, you can often gamble in them becoming sort of one after another, which is obviously what the Flemish Simsport cars are doing. As we are about to go back underway for the umpteenth time today in lap 72 of the NASCAR race. Ed May in the chat now as well. Hello to you. Good luck with D&D. 51 and a half minutes gone, and we're away. But Kimber Haight drops the hammer, and he's driven away from Frederick Van Ekhoven already. Pablo Cortel's on the inside though. Oh, big lunge up the inside by the looks of it from Van Ekhoven. To be fair, I think that was a defensive lunge more than anything else. Hendrick de Grave trying to carry the momentum around the outside of Pablo Cortel. Tim Perry seems to be in a bit of a world of his own at the moment in the 22 car, but no, he's not anymore because he's gone wide. Bart DeVos flies up the inside, and this is Ian Roots that you're seeing on the outside now. Stephen DeVos managed to get past, and Sergio Hernandez is eyeing him up as well.
Yeah, indeed, and I heard the sound of crunching cars. Someone has touched the wall, but it wasn't enough to trigger any kind of problems here. As Sergio Hernandez is on the loose side of things there, on the outside as well, getting it in a bit of trouble, but manages to survive in the end, having a fight of his own here with Ian Roots. And Kenzie Newhoff getting involved there as well. So a lot of the top runners finding themselves a long way down at the moment. Frederick van Eekhoven could be the one to take that advantage here as he goes up the inside of Kim Behait for the lead of the race, and they almost make contact. And I'll correct myself because they did make contact, but it just wasn't enough to really off-settle Kim Behait's car too much now. Pablo Cortel, the professor, is going to move up through on the inside as well. That might open the door in turn for Bart DeVos, who's very much going to want to go along with the other front runners here. And it might be a dangerous quart or quintet here at the head of the field at the moment. It's Tim Perry for Boosted in sixth, and then Greg Franks and Steve Klaes, and the number 3 car, Steve Klaes. Even though, Hernandez goes again, and we're back to yellow flag.
Hernandez, what on earth is happening today for him? He's probably sat in the car thinking, what does he have to do? But the 19 car gets turned by, I think that was Kenzie Newhoff in the 62 Toyota. So that's big shock between those two normal front-running drivers having contact in the mid-pack. And at the moment, Van Eekhoven obviously leads, Cortel in second, and DeVos in third. Kim Behait and Frederick de Greve must come into the pits now, because they've seen the difference that these 3 front-running cars have just carved through them so easily. We'll see if they heed my warnings or whether they decide that they are smarter, which most drivers are, to be fair, than me. But, wow, yeah. Sergio Hernandez, he just probably can't believe his luck tonight.
No, he's not really been in any of it, has he? It's been up and down, to say the least here. Van Eekhoven stays out, Cortel stays out, so does DeVos. Of course, the Flemish Sim Sports cars in, very much so, and I think in a position where they need it. They're going to be a little sad, I think, that the rest of the field didn't pin in as well. I think that was what they were hoping for, to be able to hop out there in a very good position and have fresh rubber underneath them as well. But it's going to be Van Eekhoven leading Cortel, DeVos, Tim Perry, Anton Dupin, and Steven De Wolf, as far as I can see. Then Ian Roots up into 7th place, Van Uyften, Kenzie Newhoff, and Kurt van Hoonacker.
Tell you what, Ian Roots is in a good position as well as Stephen De Wolf as well, and because they both pitted on lap 61, so these tyres that they've got on their cars are actually 10 laps cleaner and fresher than the likes of Van Eekhoven, Cortel, DeVos, and Tim Perry and Dupin in front of them. So they could be in a really good, strong position. Keep an eye out for these guys. Not normally, I think Ian probably won't hate me for saying, not normally, you know, one of the top runners in terms of the top 5, but the strategy may well come his way.
Yeah, that is a very good point indeed. We'll just have to see how they manage these final 30 laps of racing. We've got 35 minutes to get them done, and as such, I think this time around we will indeed get the lap counter done. Although I won't say too much, but it's gonna, I mean, we should, for it not to happen, we should pretty much be doing one long caution period all the way to the end, which luckily, happily, we're not. It's still Frederick van Eekhoven who's gonna get them back running. He's gonna have the company of Pablo Cortel, Professor Cortel, if you will, and Bart DeVos and Tim Perry. And Anton Dupin up in 5th place. He's risen 11 positions since starting the race. Steven De Wolf has gone up 14 positions, and Ian Roots has gone up 16 positions. So a few drivers having come from far away back at the very front of affairs now, looking at the prospects maybe of a very good race result here. Come 30 laps of racing. It's going to be interesting because will we get more pit stops? some drivers might need it. Some might be able to go to the line here. It's all going to come down to the fact of caution periods. And
yeah,
indeed,
Carlson's right in the chat by the looks of it. You know, it's a few too many caution periods, let's face it, but it's still a very good and tense race. You know, it could go any way, to be honest. Of the front three, you'd probably put as your favourites, but to be honest, a few drivers coming up from the rear of the field as well could really spice things up as we're about to get going again.
yes, we are. And we're going to go to the very far away camera here as Frederik van Eekhoven goes back to green flag. And at lap 81, we're back to Bugatti. Let's just see how they get along this time around. Hectic scenes in the midfield yet again. As we're almost...
Frederik van Eekhoven doing well, though, leading the way quite strong. Pablo Cortel in second place. Still Bart de Vos really looks like he's trying to put the pressure on, though. Here goes Kurt van Honecker. He's in 10th place as he circles through. That's Brian Harris just behind him. Ian Roots, here we go. Let's see how he gets on. He's got Kenzie Newworth to follow in front of him. Stephen DeWolf as well to get past as he closes really harsh. And there's a bit of more drama. The 18 car. 13 Steve Clays is on his roof.
Oh my word, that was a huge incident. Indeed, here's Yves Frederik. We're going to see the 86 involved, the 13 car involved as well. There goes Musselwhite. He gets picked up. Oh, and it's the number 3. The chocolate machine of Steve Claes. Oh, that's unlucky. Steve Claes, there he is for Eximia Esports. He was doing so well indeed. Look at that car. That is not in a good place, and I'm afraid that Steve might have spent all of his fast repairs already. And I'm afraid that incident came a little too soon. And that was a big one, wasn't it?
It was huge, yeah, and if he's in VR, he'll certainly be feeling a little more ill than he did 10 minutes ago. Hopefully he's not. But yeah, it's just, this is what happens when you're in the middle of everything. On board with Steve Clays here, this is going to be, if you're watching this in VR, this is going to make you feel a bit nauseous. But there's a spin in front. I think that's Matteo Sufi. Then the 13 car gets collected by Steve Clays as well, having a little just more damage, and then up he goes. And all of a sudden, he's wondering, how on earth has this happened to me? And he's flipping. There's a box in front of you. Crowd. Oh, my days. It's a nasty one. Yeah, that'll make you feel really ill.
Sounds like it almost did make you feel a bit ill there, Jacko.
I do get quite bad car sick, to be fair.
Yeah, that was something I could kind of hear in your voice there. There was a bit of a relatable situation, if you will. So we're coming into the final 25 laps of racing. Let's see if we get pit stops this time around. Last time in was on lap 51 for the front runners. However, Kenzie Newhoff was on lap 69, so he is in a prime position compared to, well, basically everyone else. Thing is, lap 51, those tires aren't going to be able to go for 50 laps here.
Absolutely not, especially not as fresh as Kenzie's will be now. I mean, obviously we're on lap 85. We've done the majority of the last 30 laps under caution periods, and you said we basically will have to have a solid caution period till the end of the race and not to get the time in. Well, you know, at the moment we've had a pretty solid caution period up until that point, but I think we should be pretty safe with the lap times to go. So with any luck, we'll actually settle under green flag conditions, not like last week. But it's probably a good chance, a good opportunity to obviously talk about next week. Is week 13 on iRacing, so therefore we actually won't be able to broadcast the Simracersworld NASCAR event, mainly because there's an awful lot of updates that go throughout week 13 on iRacing. It's going to be an absolutely huge update schedule that they're putting out there, so we won't be able to broadcast next week. So therefore the final of the NASCAR Winter Series is actually going to be the week after that. So you got a week off, people, but by all means, keep it subscribed to Simracersworld to make sure that you're catching the Daytona finale over on, I think it's the 14th of December.
It is, indeed. It very much is. And it's gonna be a hell of a show. It's gonna be the place where you stay flat, and I think we could be in for a real banger of a finale, especially given that our championship leader at the moment, Sergio Hernandez, he's down in. I'm sorry, I had a bit of a burping moment there. Something just pressing itself on very suddenly. But I was saying, Hernandez, is he on the inside, on the outside? He's on the outside, so I think it's 20th place at the moment for the number 19 car. He is in a tough spot with not a lot of time to make up ground on some rivals. That's been going well. Indeed, Van Eekhoven on worn rubber. He goes very early and he catches out Pablo Cotel and everybody else as well. That's going to give him some clean air into turn 1. Let's see if everybody else can follow along. Here's Continue-Off trying to get up the inside of Bart de Vos, and they're both moving through on Tim Perry. That seems to be working out great for him. And behind is the cars of Ian Root, Sven Calvert, and I think...
Oh! Sorry there, Hasse. It's just because they were going 3 wide for third place, but they're going third. Wow, how was the 999 car? Still looking in the same direction. John Tusting will be thanking his lucky stars there as Sergio Hernandez just greases past them all. Hendrick, De Grave and Kimber Hayton amongst his pack as well, who finally obviously pitted earlier on. And John Tusting looks to the outside. Is on the outside. He's looking to the inside. The number 13 car in the background there. I think he just about got away with it. Hopefully we don't go caution again. I don't think we are. That was Frederick in the QSR Racing School car. But it looks of it, Bart de Vos is in 4th place now as Kenzie Newworth with those newer tyres on has carved his way through.
And we're back to yellow flag here as Ryan Walker has had contact and he goes off on the inside. And is that going to be it? Oh, that's another caution period we really could have been without. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, I think Kenzie Newworth was probably the driver that gained the most amount out of that lap and a half of racing, or 2 laps of racing. Going his way up to 3rd place, and obviously now everybody else is probably thinking, do I bother pitting now, and try and take these tyres to the end? How much are we going to be under caution period? Am I going to be able to just take advantage of these tyres that I'm on and just take these to the end? It's a big decision that has to be made, and it's one that a few drivers are giving the old fake to this time around. Yet again, Sergio Hernandez, actually, he's on tyres that he pitted on lap 78, I think. So he's doing quite well. But Frederick Van Eekhoven pitted on lap 51. So we're on lap 90 now. That's going to be plus 40 laps old by the time we go racing again. And if we keep getting caution periods of 1 lap after another, then he could probably be, thinking he can hold on to this 1st place just using the tyres that he's got on the car now.
Yeah. He's gonna be contemplating, at least if it's gonna be a possibility for him. I think whoever has to pit at this point might be looking at a rather poor situation indeed. Alex Kneller, it's Lundgren's spotter here, and I could imagine it is indeed a sleepy task every time we go to yellow flag indeed. And it's actually something I've done a bit myself with one of my good mates. He's a fair bit better at oval racing than I am, and we've done a few races where I've been spotting for him, and I can tell you, the spotting part is a lot of fun doing as well. So I certainly did enjoy that, and we're actually talking about doing it for a live stream at some point as well. I think that would make for a good bit of racing. Still lights on the pace car, which means that it'll be out for 1 more lap. I mean, we will go back to racing as we come on to lap 93 out of the 110 we'll have to do. And with that,
well, you know what they could be doing now, the viewers, Hasse, you know what a certain link they could be clicking down below in conjunction with one of our sponsors.
Oh yes, and that link, well, that link shouldn't be the link. Should it be the link? The link? The link of Dynamixx Racing Simulators! So go check out our sponsor and make sure you support them, because they sure do support us. And for that we're very thankful. Now this time around we should see the lights go out on the pace car. And that means that I not only should, but also will take you over to Mr. Jack Oliphant for the restart.
Yeah, indeed. It will be Van Ekhoven to try and push away from the rest of the field, even though he has got maybe a couple of older tyres away from Kenzie Newworth, who's obviously starting just behind. But being teammates, if Pablo Cortel doesn't really get in the way, I can't see that Frederick Van Ekhoven will really hold up his teammate too much if he's clearly faster. With any luck, we'll be going green, and we'll be carrying on being green for a fair old period. That could really sort of hamper a few of the drivers that towards the front end of the field at the moment, because obviously we mentioned a couple of times that their tyres are extremely old, really. And lap 51, they're 40 odd laps old. But obviously Frederick Van Ekhoven will be hoping that he can just hold off the 83 car, Pablo Cortel. Maybe Kenzie Newworth can get in between the 477 car and the 83 as the pace car slots his way into the pits, and we're about to go racing yet again. And the team down undercars with a masterpiece yet again. A restart to go down in history here for the Simracersworld NASCAR event. They've done it once before, a couple of rounds ago. They've just gone and done it here again. And Pablo Cortel is the driver who's lost out in this one. We're having a look at Anton Tupan as the rest of the field thunder their way through the first of many. Oh, I tell you what, Ryan Walker's gone wide. And that was a very drift onto the apron there, but I think he's managed to just keep it going because we're not in the caution period yet. Sergio Hernandez is in amongst all these Flemish Super Sport cars, and there's been an incident. Oh, there's more than a caution period. There's more than an incident. It's a car road blocky, crashy thing. It's just basically everybody battling into each other. Not surprisingly, we're under caution period for it, and a few drivers getting away with that, one of which is obviously our championship leader. But as we're on board with Anton Tupan, you can just see the chaos happening in front of him. Oh, he almost avoided it, you know. It's just a Flemish Simsport car just came in the right last minute.
Yeah, indeed, here's the view from Sergio Hernandez. And once you see that smoke up ahead, cars going sideways, you know, uh-oh, this is not going to end up well. And they're bumping and they're sliding about, and they're all getting caught up in it. And does he make it through? If he makes it through, Hernandez, talk about a lucky dog.
I think he does.
I think he almost does, but he checks the 86. Yes, he does indeed check the 86 there. There's no way to get around, but he doesn't carry too much speed into it. It was an impressive situation nonetheless. Talk about bad luck. What's the race situation? Well, it's Frederick Van Ekhoven still leading, and you know what? He's going for it on the worn rubber. He's got his teammate behind. Then Cortel, DeFos, Perry, Roots is up into 6th place now. Then Steven de Wolf, Van Honager, Brian Harris in 9th place. This is exactly what I meant when I said you certainly see the potential for Brian Harris. And we hope that he's going to be there to pick up some points. In 10th, it's Greg Franks and the 99 machine. Then leaving up the big Stuart Musselwhite. A couple of cars pitting in. That's a car of Robert Lundgren and Anton Dupin. John Tusting as well up there in 14th. And a lot of cars having to pit in at this late stage for repairs. And that's obviously really going to hamper their race here.
Yeah, they're going to be hoping for green flag running after this because obviously they've got the fresher tyres on. The Mew has come on the chat as well, and I think he's being slightly sarcastic here. Great description, Jack. Keep it up. Well, the Mew is why they pay me the big bucks. You know, it's description like I just described there. Yeah, but to be fair, it was just a big cluster of a massive gaggle of cars just absolutely piling into each other, wasn't it? It's not surprising, considering what we've seen from this track so far, and obviously with cold tyres and people on old tyres and new tyres and sort of in the mix, it's not surprising that we have so many pace cars. It's a bit of a shame, but we have only got 13 laps to go, so with any luck, we'll be racing for the last 10 potentially. Alex Neller on the chat as well. He's obviously Lundgren's spotter that Hasse was mentioning before. Apparently, we have 43 caution laps and 47 green laps. So, considering that a green lap is half a minute and a caution lap is 1 whole minute, we've actually spent an awful lot longer in the caution than we have actually racing. Yeah,
and I think everyone who's been watching along for the entirety of the race will be well aware of such. That is very much the truth, and sometimes the truth hurts, and today it does. It has been quite the kerfuffle for pretty much everyone involved. And we have seen some of the drivers that usually are the ones that are in the funny end of things, so to say, and the shining end, We've seen him having very poor luck indeed. Here's Sergio Hernandez. Oh, is that just a fake? He was wanting to go in, but in the end, he decided not to. But what's the problem here? He's going awfully slowly. And I'm having a hard time figuring out what exactly is happening to Sergio Hernandez here, as he's getting passed by more or less everyone.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if we see maybe an onboard. Well, it's a bit too late to see an onboard with him because obviously we're about to go green again. But it might have been something hardware issue. Maybe his throttle got stuck open or something like that. But I'm really surprised not to see him jumping into the pits. If it was a fake, it was a really dramatic one. Probably not one that he really needed to do. But for some reason, he stayed out. But we are about to go.
I'm sorry,
green again.
Yeah, he has indeed. He's lost the lap, which is huge news for the championship. Because it means he's probably not going to be there to pick up points anyways. It's Frederickhoven, it's Kenzie Newhoff with the Professor and Bart DeVos. And the ASK Volante car on the outside, the number 6 machine in a good position. And there they go early yet again. The radio communication seems to be working wonders for Team Down Under. And it's not they had one absolutely brilliant start not too long ago. This one certainly not bad as well as Stephen the Wolves goes up the inside of Ian Roots. Oh, and already trouble there for Ryan Walker again, but I think they managed to keep on running this time around. Although it looked quite sketchy indeed there, Jacko.
It does indeed, yeah. Gregory Vance on the outside now, but the Team Down Under cars, if anybody wants to know how to restart a race here at the Oval, oh no, it's been disappointing for those drivers. They haven't got a front end for a reason, and more collisions here with the 48 cars as well. That's Matteo Sufi, who you're on board with, obviously without a front end at the moment. And yeah, we're back under caution. All I can say is, you know, it's been a bit of a shame. It's been a bit hit and miss this one. It's not, I would say, not quite been representative of what we've seen so far this season. I think it's just the tricky track, Hasse. The nature of the Phoenix International Raceway is just thrown a sort of a spanner in the works a little bit here, and some people may be struggling to get used to it.
Yeah, and I think looking at the laps to time equation, if you will, I think the organizers expected I think they expected this type of event as well, and of course they're well familiar with just how the oval tracks are to race on, and I think we've seen something that's been I don't think it's been extraordinary for a race here at Phoenix, but it has been a little abrupt. It has been very start-stop, and it's been it's been what oval racing also is. I think it's going to be very interesting. We're now within the final 10 laps, and we're going to see for how long they can keep on running here, as I think that is John Husting. Oh, sorry, correct myself. It's Paul Gosling in the 88 who gets the lucky dog this time around, gets to unlap himself and join the back of the field. He's going to be happy for that. And I think, I'm not quite sure, but I think actually I'm not quite, oh, Sergio Hernandez, he's down in 21st place. Within the final 10 minutes, a lap down, there surely cannot be a way back from that.
No, I think we're obviously only going to go racing about lap 104, I think I'm going to estimate. So even with 6 laps to go, there's absolutely no chance that Sergio Hernandez is going to really pick anything out of the bag now. I don't think. Could prove me wrong, but it's going to be very, very difficult. And you know, going into the next round, the final round, obviously we have to wait for 2 weeks, unfortunately, before we head over to Daytona. We're going to see how that's impacted the championship standings. Hernandez, obviously, he's been fairly dominant. He was very dominant early on in the first couple of rounds, and we'll see if he's been able to have that carry him through to the final round, shall we say?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is gonna blow the championship fight wide open before the final round at Daytona in 2 weeks. And,
which is good.
Which is very good. That it's not that it's not wide open already. It's just, if I recall correctly, 13 points that separate the two. And actually, while under caution, we can certainly have a look at the point standings. So as you can see, without any gains today, which certainly we can't tell anything for yet. 153, 13 points it is to Kenzie Newhoff, and then another 6 points down to Frederick van Eekhoven. Bart DeVos, a little bit in arrears there, so it seems to be between the top 3 drivers anyway. And you just have to say both of the Team Down Under cars in a very, very, very good position here.
Yeah, Sergio Hernandez obviously not in such a great position in this race. And second and third in the championship in this race are currently first and second in the race. So, yeah, they're going to be bagging an awful lot of points. And even Bart DeVos, who's currently in fourth place. You have to say Kenzie Neuhoff is actually probably the driver who's probably got the most amount of hope here because he's on the newest tyres. So I'm sure if he shows his pace and we get some green flag running, Frederick Van Ekhoven, won't fight too hard with his teammate. It's all about getting the 1-2 here for the team. But I think the pace car's about to come in. So here we go. How do they get on? Neuhoff is in second place. Van Ekhoven, Cortel hasn't been caught out that badly this time. Now he's gone with the two Team Down Under cars, and actually he's looking at the inside of Kenzie Neuhoff, Steven de Wolf here. Bart DeVos around the outside as well of Tim Perry and Kurt Van Onecker in ninth place. There's a whole host of other cars now. We're seeing how is Sergio Hernandez getting on. Obviously he's going to be a lap down. So it's sort of not really relevant, I'd say, to be fair, for this race is how he gets on now. Anton Tupan in the Flemish Sim Sport car as well, trying to get up the inside of the number 7 car. I think that's Kurt Van Honecker. But by the looks of it, Pablo Cortel's really putting the pressure on the Team Down Unders.
Yeah, very much so. He's knowing when to do so, and he's doing it right about now. Oh, we're back to yellow flag for some reason. I cannot see what's happened. So we're just going to have to take an educated guess. Oh, it's leaving up the bake. It's leaving up the bake, and it's not the first time we've seen it. Oh, and he collides with Stuart Musselwhite in the 18.
Yeah, gutting that for the both of them, really, and obviously everybody involved, because although I think we may go down to 1 lap green and on the white lap as well, so we might actually get 1 lap of racing before we actually finish off this stream, before we finish off this race, basically. So, although it's absolutely gutting, we'd love to see Pablo Cortel go for a couple of laps at Kenzie Neuhoff and the Team Down Under cars. We may get 1 flying lap towards the end because normally he stays out for 3 laps. This is obviously the first out of those 3, so that should take us to lap 109.
109 it should be indeed, which means we'll get 1 or 2 laps under green flag at the very end to decide things. And I'm just thinking if too many of the drivers have been listening to a very certain song from Coldplay's first album, featuring Chris Martin on a gray, overcast day on a beach in a rain jacket, singing falsetto.
Oh, I'll be honest, I don't know the song. I'd come up with some clever response to that for me, but I don't know the song.
It's Coldplay, Yellow. You don't know that?
Oh, is it Yellow? Oh, yeah,
It's
okay.
called Yellow,
I get you now, yeah. Yeah.
God damn it.
I only know one Coldplay song. I think that's Chasing Cars, and I thought you were trying to link with that. But to be fair, that might not even be Coldplay.
I have no clue. I think Coldplay doesn't say me the world. But I know
you can tell that these caution periods are driving us around.
The race is yellow. Oh, the race is cold.
Yeah, the Mew in the chat saying a green apple on the start finish on a yellow. A couple of people saying that it's probably going to finish on a yellow flag caution period. It may well do. It depends. All we need, people, is 1 lap of running, I think, if the calculations are correct. So fingers crossed, everything crossed, touching wood. Basically, that sounds awful. But, hopefully, everything will go the way we plan.
We're fingers crossed indeed, and this is gonna be the sim racing equivalent. I'm gonna stay with the music analogies here for a moment, Jacko. This is gonna be the sim racing equivalent of the 8 Mile movie and the good old Eminem song "Lose Yourself." Although this is the thing you cannot do. You cannot lose yourself. You have to stay, and you probably have to stay in, stay low. If you go high, chances are you're gonna suffer. But you probably will only have 1 or 2 shots here as we're about to go on to lap 109. Hopefully it means that with the lights going off here. Yes, indeed. Yes! Yes! So it's gonna be 1 lap to green as they cross and get back to green flags as well. 1 lap to green, 1 lap to checkered.
That would be obviously the best scenario, and with any luck, a fast and frantic fight to the end. But can you believe it that these drivers, Frederick Van Ekhoven, they pitted, Pablo Cortel as well, Bart de Vos, Tim Perry, they pitted on lap 51. These tyres are 60 laps old. Incredible, really, and that just shows how many caution periods we've had. As Van Ekhoven is going to lead the line and try and finish this race once and for all in the front of the order.
Well, thank you for joining us, Mew. It's been a pleasure, as always, having you along while the pace car drills in. It's going to be 30 seconds of hot racing here as Van Ekhoven goes early with Kenzie Newhoff on the outside. The question is, will the fresher tires of the 62 cars be enough? Here comes Cortel, Bart de Vos on the high side looking for it. As I'm trying to get the words out of my mouth, here's Tim Perry. Oh, and they're all really squiddling down. There's cold tires, mind you. I think Van Ekhoven is getting under pressure here. Newhoff going to come for it, but it's still Van Ekhoven. Cortel is third. They're trying to line it up here. Turn 2. There's one more. Oh, this is really exciting. Here it comes, and I think it's going to be Frederick Van Ekhoven. Van Ekhoven takes it. Team down under 1-2. Kenzie Newhoff second. Professor Cortel. Oh, we're got an extra lap. Oh my word, white flags around, it's lap 111. Full amount of surprises.
Breathe, Hasse, breathe.
Oh, I cannot breathe. I'm just gonna kill myself here, and we're having a huge incident on the other side of the track. As it's still Van Ekhoven, Newhoff, Cortel, here comes. Oh, it's gonna be Frederick Van Ekhoven from Kenzie Newhoff. Pablo Cortel gets third, Bart de Vos, Tim Perry, and Ian Roots in 6th place. And just what kind of chaos have we seen on the last lap, Jacko? Oh my word.
Yeah, well, I saw an awful lot of drivers blinking in and out in our timing tower, and that's exactly why. Obviously, this is the 48 car, Robert Lundgren. Yeah, not ideal for a whole host of drivers. Obviously, we were focusing on the front lot. We didn't see any of this. So that is unfortunate for them as they cross across the line now. I think that was actually to start the final lap. I don't think that even was the coming across the checkered flag. But obviously, Frederick Van Ekhoven made the tyres work. Remeze didn't just go bang, to be honest. 60 laps old, or 59 laps old. Actually, no, we finished on lap 111. So exactly 60 laps old that Frederick Van Ekhoven managed to nurse those tyres to the end. Obviously, a lot of that under caution period, but still very impressive to win the race like that. And he'll be absolutely delighted, I'm sure.
Delighted indeed. A driver who did basically a one-stop. Carsten, I think it was because we were on that white flag. They don't bring out the caution at the end. They wanted to go to the end, and I think that is the explanation that we didn't have a caution period thrown out at the very end. And hefty stuff indeed. Oh, and I'm gonna...
Looks like some weird mating.
Yeah, I was just about to say I said it the other day at the 24 hours of Coda, but yet again, 2 cars trying to do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. Interesting indeed. Anyway, Jacko, why don't you take us through the race results?
Yeah, let's go for it with Frederick Van Ekhoven and the team down under car. I mean, to be fair, Kenzie Newhoff in 2nd place as well. They didn't put a foot wrong through all those caution periods. Brilliant restarts. The team down under car is deserving the 1-2. Van Ekhoven with the 60 lap old tyres. Kenzie Newhoff trying to put the pressure on, but obviously was never really going to try and push his teammate into a mistake. Pablo Cortel did everything he could, but he ended up in 3rd place with Bart de Vos qualifying on pole position. Still got a top 5 in 4th place. Tim Perry in 5th after a good strategy earlier in the race. Ian Roots actually in 6th, which I think is a career high in the NASCAR Series. Stephen de Wolf in 7th, and Gregory Vanskin 8th. Hendrik de Graeve in 9th place. Stuart Musselwhite in rounding out the top 10. Sergio Hernandez somehow ended up in 11th place. A brilliant recovery drive in the last couple of laps, it must have been. With Paul Gosling in 12th place, John Tusting in 13th, Brian Harris in 14th, Steve Clays after ending up on his roof, rounded out the top 15. Kurt Van Honecker in 16th, Matteo Sufi in 17th, Robert Lundgren in 18th. 19th is Anton Japan, with the top 20 being rounded out by Lieven Opte. 21st was Fredericks, 22nd Van Oitvin, 23rd was Behate, 24th was Walker, and 2 laps down was even Bauman's, and Vandenberg was 5 laps down, and 13 laps down was Sven Galfert.
Indeed, it was. Whew. Indeed, I need to breathe sometimes, but it all just got so. I thought we were on the white flag lap, but I didn't see the white flag, and obviously that's a good lesson for me. Never get excited until you see the white flag.
I thought you were going to pass out there. I was thinking, do I call someone back? Do I jump in?
Not even close. Not at all.
A brilliant race, though, it has to be said. We'll see if there's anybody going to be jumping in. Oh, tell you what, there's a fair few drivers jumping into the interview waiting room, and one of them is our race winner, Frederik van Eekhoven. It was a bit of a slog of a race, but you must be really pleased with that victory there, Frederik.
Yeah, finally there in the second to last round. We got another 1-2. I got a win, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, a bit of a switch in the order. Obviously, Kenzie Newworth has obviously got that race win under his belt already. But how, going into those final 10 laps especially, you obviously made the decision not to pit in. Your tyres you were on those set of tyres for more than half the race. Were you at all worried about them going bang before the end of the race?
Not really, because we didn't really have any long runs, and every time the pace car comes out and it gets going again, the tires are cold, and even if they are old, you can still go 5-6 laps on them qualifying pace. So I wasn't really that worried about the tires this time around.
Well, see, there you go, Hasse. I told you, these drivers know an awful lot more than us, don't they? But yeah, you said you were very pleased with it. It blows the championship under sort of a wide open really as well, because obviously you and Kenzie, Sergio Hernandez not having such a great round this time, he somehow got back up to 11th place after all that he went through. But you must be fairly confident that you've got a shot at the championship now going into Daytona in 2 weeks' time. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of practice going on.
Yeah, we are going to practice with the team, I guess, on bump drafting, see if we can help each other out there. And then, yeah, now we got 2 horses to play. So that's always nice.
Is there going to be any team orders, if it is between you and Kenzie, obviously? Or is it just a case that you want one of the team down undercars on the top? Obviously, that's the diplomatic answer. But is there a little bit of you want it a little bit more? Are they going to sort of open the reins a little bit between you two?
No, we are not going to race each other. And yeah, as you saw today, there are no real team orders. Maybe if we knew that Sergio was going to pull an 11th place out of his back, then we might have done something else. But now we're here, so let's race.
Well, fair enough, Frederik. Brilliant race today, I have to say. Obviously, great management of the tyres and the strategy and everything as well. Is there anybody you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we let you go and enjoy that maiden race win?
Yeah, Team Down Under, Kenzie. We always have great racing. We understand each other. And also you guys, because I can't imagine how difficult it must have been today to commentate.
No, me and Hasse have a great time, don't you worry about that. But thank you very much, Frederik, and potentially speaking to you next, well, no, it won't be next week, it'll be in 2 weeks' time, obviously, as one of the front-running contenders. Good luck for them, and enjoy the practice.
Thank you.
So that was Jack Oliphant with Frederik van Eekhoven, our race winner. We'll hop right on with the next in line. Another Team Down Under driver. Here is Kenzie Newworth. Kenzie, thank you for joining us in the booth after a very stop-start, very dramatic as well, and very, very close race at the end, and a very good result for both yourself and the team. How do you feel right now, man?
Well, to be honest, kind of disappointed that I didn't take the win off Frederik there at the end there, but yeah, in the end, all things considered, I should be quite happy with the result there.
And
so yeah.
It seemed to be a different race strategy-wise. Were you expecting all these caution periods in the latter half of the race, and thus staying for a relatively long time on the same set of tires?
Well, in a way, not really, but yeah, when you say it, it's not that hugely surprising in the end. But I think the tires really held out quite well, because we didn't have very long stints. So I think tire wear really wasn't such a huge issue. But as well, the tires only got better, I think, the longer the stint went. So think it wasn't such a big issue. So
That's interesting, and a very open championship standings coming into the to the final round at Daytona in 2 weeks. Frederick, of course, talking about the necessity to practice your bump drafting. I suppose you'll be very much in on that as well.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we tried a bit in this race already, but that didn't go too well. But yeah, practice makes perfect, I guess. So yeah, we'll head down, go to Daytona with being best prepared as we are, and we'll see what happens.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to it big time. Kenzie, it's going to be interesting to follow. It's going to be interesting to see. And of course, we hope to see you again for a final interview of the season in 2 weeks' time. Anyway, before we let you off the hook here, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to or thanks to while we got you on the air here?
The team, of course, Team Down Under, for supporting us and helping us making us drive better for these kind of races and preparing us. So yeah, it's all the team.
Beautiful, mate. Thanks for joining us. Always the pleasure. And as I said, hope to see you again in the booth in 2 weeks' time. And I think have a good evening until then.
Yep, same to you as well, all guys. Right. Goodbye.
Cheers. So that was Kenzie Newhoff. We're going to have our final interviewee of the evening. And it's not a podium finisher, but he's damn close to. And he is a big boss in his own right. You guessed it. It's, of course, the boss himself. It's not Bruce Springsteen. It is, however, Ian Roots. Ian, thank you for another great race, and welcome to the booth, mate.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I had a good result. 6th. Astonished.
Certainly not bad. It's close to even being something like last to 6th. It's something we've also discussed in the booth, especially under qualifying, of course, when looking at it, that in this kind of racing it seems to be possible in another way than it is in road racing to really come from the back of a grid and still get a result.
Yeah, I think my qualifying, no matter whether it's road racing or ovals, I am hopeless. I am not a one-lap king, and I never will be. I'm what you would call a Sunday man, so I'm race day man. I just kind of try to stay out of trouble, really. My qualifying, I thought was quite good. It's the fastest lap I'd ever done, and then ended up 3 from the back, I think. So it was pretty poor, to be honest. But I managed to stay out of trouble. I did a little bit of damage early on, but I saved the fast repair for later on. Used it tactically, and I think doing the pit stops tactically worked in my favour as well. So people went in, and I knew the tyres were going to last. So I stayed out twice when other people pitted, and then I pitted with everybody else at the final time, and I turned off the fuel, didn't need any fuel. So I just did it tactically, really, and it got me to the front. And it was a case of just staying there till the end, and that's what happened. 6th place for me is like a win, so I'm really pleased.
Brilliant stuff, mate. And were you expecting the number of incidents that we saw tonight? A relatively high amount of caution period time compared to green flag time. Was that something you were expecting?
I think everybody was laughing and joking about it in the team server beforehand. Yes, I think we expected it. It's a different discipline, and we wanted to bring in a short track into the season because people need to learn the difference between long track and short track, and that definitely is a short track with only 27 seconds a lap. And it is a totally different discipline. You're braking heavy for every corner, turning in late, making sure the tyres are gripping before you turn the wheel. It's such a different discipline, and I'm glad we did it. It was a bit messy at times, but drivers have got to get used to it because next season there's going to be we're going to try and mix it 50-50. So short track, long track next season, and people have got to get used to that format.
Well, indeed. And last but not least, I'd like to hear your expectations for the final round at Daytona in 2 weeks' time, given that we have a championship standings that's actually now wide open for the championship between 3 drivers.
Yeah, Daytona is flat out 3 wide, 4 wide. It's capable 4 wide there. It's a completely different discipline, bump drafting, very, very fast. Those team down under boys, there's not much stopping them. I think Sergio's obviously got a very good chance. Kenzie was fast tonight. At one point he was right at the back. and managed to work his way through and finish second, I think. So, yeah, the usual front runners have got a good chance, but it could be anybody's. We did the Daytona 500, and you saw how close that was, the finish at the end, and hopefully we're going to be in for a good race.
Indeed, and Ian, thanks for coming in to chat with us yet again here. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out while in your very own house here, if you will?
Yeah, just two people really. Bram, obviously, for the organisation behind the scenes. He's the one that's really heading this and making sure everybody's happy and giving everybody setups and what have you, and kind of keeping everybody informed. So Bram Van Alphen, him, and obviously tonight, someone different tonight, Stephen DeWolf. I think a couple of weeks ago he came into the series a complete and utter rookie, I think, and kind of found himself in deep water. But over the last couple of weeks, he's really taken to it, and me and him had a really good race tonight. We were side by side, one behind the other for pretty much the whole race. And yeah, big shout for Stephen, because we had a good race tonight, and he's learnt very quickly how to drive these cars, which is pretty impressive. But yeah, let's just hope we both have a good race next time.
Brilliant, mate. Thanks for joining us in the interview room, and we'll look forward to having a last chat of the season with you, Ian, after the 2-week round at Daytona.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks very much. Cheers. Goodbye.
So that was SRW Bus and series organizer here, of course, alongside Bram van Alphen and Ian Roots for you all. And with that, it's gonna conclude our broadcast for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in with us here on SRW TV. My name is Hasse Rømer. I've been joined by Jack Oliphant, and it has been our pleasure to have you all along. As said, tune in 2 weeks' time for the final round at Daytona. We're in for a grand showdown, a finale of the series to only otherwise dream about. Don't miss it. It's going to be great. And if you haven't already, give us a like if you think we deserve it. So subscribe if you want to see more great sim racing action here on Simracersworld TV. And with that said, until next time, take care, have fun, and bye-bye.